Let's roll. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah, she so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah, she so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. She give me A.
Yo, what up, y'all? Welcome to another one, man. It's your boy Raw One, and this is Sparking Conversation. And y'all know what I do each and every week. I get up here and I talk to some of the world's most interesting people. And tonight, I'm going to do the same thing. I got a guest for y'all. I told y'all that I was going to get back into, bringing the guests on and stuff. I know a lot of people were asking me because, for a few shows, I've been solo because of all of the videos and stuff that I've been getting. And I wanted to take an opportunity to get through some of them. And then not only that, a lot of things that I was getting that was happening current, knowing that a lot of times I like to speak on something current, even when I do have guests, before I bring them up. Because that's the main theme of the platform. It's called Sparking Conversation. I like to have things on here and topics and deal with things that hopefully when people watch or listen, it'll spark a conversation amongst people, right? Because I think about this a lot. Most of the time, a lot of relationships, and I'm talking about all different kinds, right? Communication, I'm finding out that communication is the biggest wedge between most relationships being successful. But not just communication, it's a way of communicating, right? So I looked at it from not just communicating, but from understanding as well too. We have a lot of different ways of communicating with people, but the one thing that we all share in common is called understanding and perspective, right? So no matter how different a person's views is, to have understanding and perspective will always allow people to get along, even in the midst of their differences. Because the goal is not to convince people to think like you or think like the other person. The goal is for you to understand the person that you're talking to. So if the person that you're dealing with feels a certain way about things, that's who they are. It's not up to another person to try to change them to be more like you or what suits you. And I think that's what happens in a lot of relationships. A lot of times it goes wrong because people play into the facade of wanting to do things for people instead of wanting to do things to accept people how they are. Because that's the only way you're going to really get the true person, if you allow them to be who they are and not make them live in their representative, so to speak, right? So before I get started with all that, y'all know I got to thank all the people that download the audio version of this platform first. And I know last week I had some audio technical difficulties last week. So for about the first 15 minutes, it was hard for people to hear and all that other stuff, but we got it right. And so to those of you guys that download the audio, I know y'all depend on that, right? Well, not depend on it, but that's where how y'all consuming the content is through audio. So I want to apologize to those of y'all who downloaded the last week's show, and for the first few minutes or so, the audio wasn't there, but that was part of the technical difficulties. But as I said, we still continue to show strong, and it was great information that was shared. So thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. I want to make sure I always say that. Let's see. Yeah, so let's get into sponsors and everything like that. So today, Stormed in Part 5. I'm about to say 4, 5. Stormed in Part 5 has dropped today. It is part of the skit series that we are promoting right now as a crew or as a team under the Collective Visions banner. And we're just keeping the content going. We keep staying creative and keep moving. All right. So to all the people that already push play, already commented, and to those that's been sharing it already, thank y'all so much, because that's the point, right? We do all these things, and we it's a thing, like, right? They always say don't do things for other people. Don't do things just so you can get gratification or for someone to pat you on the back, right? Or look for the reward all the time, We do these things because this is how we feel. This is what we choose to spend our time in. We choose to spend our time being creative, right? We were born this way. All the people that pretty much are around me, we were born this way. And I think this is the great way to live your life, doing what you love to do and not being held back by things, not being held back by money, not being held back by people, and not being held back by circumstances. But like using those different things that you have to deal with in life and be able to be creative and artistic and still be able to express yourself even outside of your own personal self by playing characters and stuff like that. Um, Everybody needs an outlet. That's just my personal thing. You know what I mean? I think like everybody needs an outlet to get the things that's in them out of them. You know, because everyone doesn't have a person that they could trust to actually talk to. And then we know that, you know, people pushing therapy for the last few years really heavy for people to find somebody to talk to, even if you got to pay them. And then for some people, their insurance will cover a couple of sessions or so, right? For you to, you know, at least get your feet wet and learning how to communicate what you feeling to somebody, and in hopes that they can help you kind of compartmentalize whatever it is that you're going through, deal with it, try to get over it, and move forward. At least that's what I thought that therapy was. But come to find out, it's a place where people are almost using it as a confession booth, right? Where they'll come, they'll confess their sins, and then they go right back out and do the same thing, and then just come back. And so it's weird how, you know, people are so caught up in the problem, but never the answer or the solution. So, um, yeah, mindset change is very very needed in this time coming up. All right. So outside of that, we got the Feels Good brand. I want y'all to make sure y'all check out the Feel Good brand, the Good Feels brand. The link is in the description. I want y'all to click on that for all you people out there that like to get yourself in the festive spirit and the festive mood without alcohol, but a more natural way of to approach that. So I want you guys to definitely check that out. All right. And let's see what else we got going on here. Y'all already know Collective Wears in the building. We need y'all to support the brand. Y'all click the link in the description under merch. It says excuses don't pay bills. If that's not the most that could be one of the most honest statements out here, right? Excuses don't pay bills. There's so many people who live their lives in a space where, you know, I'll do it tomorrow because of what's going on today. Tomorrow sometimes don't come for a lot of people. You know how many people wish they just had that day, you know, that so many people take for granted. So excuses don't pay bills. Y'all know what to do. Click the link in the description and support the brand, y'all. All right. So look, I got a guest. So before I go, before I bring my guest in, you know, I got to go through my rant and let's talk about a little bit about what's going on out here, real quick. Yeah. So we know the government is still shut down, right? I mean, I guess that's not new news, right? It's been shut down for a few weeks now, and the saddest part about everything that's going on is that these things that's been happening lately has been used as propaganda against everyone to try to put you in a state of being separated again. Now we got people who are concentrating on what's going on with the SNAP benefits, right? And so many people who are demanding the fact that, you know, they supposed to be able to get these benefits. They are supposed to, you know, it's owed to them. They're entitled to money that they didn't earn, right? They're having children, a bunch of children. Uh, how they having them, who they having them with, that's not important. It's not my business. The fact of the matter is they're having children, using the system as a means to be able to take care of their children. And then in times like this, they're threatening people who actually get up and go to work and provide that very benefit that they are sitting here saying that they demand, and they're talking about harming these people and robbing these people and taking from those people. And this just helps you understand how ungrateful a lot of people are in life in general once they feel entitled to something, y'all. I just want y'all to think about this. For the fact that you have people who, for whatever reason that they have it, will not go work, will not earn their own, but will go through a system that will provide housing for them, provide food and medical for them and the children that they have. And then whenever it gets tight and it gets tough, the first group of people that they say that they're going to go against or they're going to hurt or they're going to take from is the very people who actually go to work each and every day to allow them to have this luxury to be able to take care of their children. Some of y'all don't even know like how many people take care of your children for you, even though you're the one that's actually going to the store and doing all the other things that you do outside of that. You gotta, it's so many people who claim that they're a single parent, but they on the system, not saying that you're really a single parent, because technically you're not, because all the people that go to work is really supporting you and your children. So if we want to really be technical about things, and the fact that people are entitled and feel like these things belong to them, you know, outside of the fact that today they had well, I was told today about how people are going into grocery stores and getting certain amounts of of groceries and stuff like that, knowing that they don't have the money for it, or knowing that when the first come around that they card not going to be refilled, and then now they're being violent towards cashiers. Can you imagine like how stupid that is for you to go and be violent towards a person who don't own the product either? The person at the register ain't going to try to stop you if your goal is to steal. That's not their job. Their job is to ring up the products if you come through the line. Their job is not to police you. I know when you go to Walmart, they be having somebody out there, trying to see if your receipt match some of the items that you don't have in the bag, but I'm quite sure even them, they not really gonna try to stop you like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, if you really that fly about what you're doing, that's for the police to do. But the fact that you guys are on video and just saying this is what you're gonna do, but I get it. It's not just y'all. It's made to seem like it's just black women, right, that are upset, because this is one time that black men can't really join in because they don't get those benefits. Single black men or men with children, you got to have probably about at least 4 or 5 children, and then you can't make but a certain amount in order for you to get these benefits anyway. So most men are not living in a position where they're in a minimum wage situation and they're the full custodian of their child. Men have to always find themselves in a position where they have to be above minimum wage in order to provide the things that they need, right? So men don't get these benefits. These are mostly women, but the videos that are up are mostly all black women that they're showing that are that angry and entitled. And that's weird to me, because when it comes down to it, and this is public record, anybody go look it up. The number one consumer of SNAP benefits are not black women; it's white women. So the fact that it's so many of those videos and things like that being suppressed, because there are a lot of white women who are out there screaming and hollering and going through their changes based on the SNAP program. It's just not being shown as much, because this is always been a problem in our community about how narratives are painted about us. And then so many of us fall into the stereotype because we think that it's okay to always act what they see or what they say a color is supposed to act. That's why I don't like to identify as a color. I think that has nothing to do with who we are as a people. And that's the saddest part about all this stuff, man, is that just because you share a skin tone with a group of people, they all look at you the same. But then when it comes down to everyone else in this world, they want everybody to forget the things that happened to those of us that look like me and just accept those things that's happened to them. It's weird. So, I mean, I guess I said all that to say, everyone be careful. This whole season, this holiday, this Thanksgiving season, you know what I mean? Just be careful, y'all. Just pay attention, watch your corners. All right. Make sure when you're going out in and out of parking lots, watch for people who are just sitting in cars, right? You got to pay attention in the aisles where you park at, right? Look around your car. Make sure you try to park under lights. These are things that all women should, we got to be paying attention, because they're going to be the number one target. They're not going to be out here trying to target men. And if they are, they're going to use weapons. So in that case, when people are getting robbed, by a weapon and stuff like that, I will be careful for those of you guys that are out there, because these open carry states that some of us are in, you're going to get popped trying to rob somebody for groceries that you didn't pay for, when the fact that up in November 1st, all the groceries you did get were paid for by the person that you're trying to rob. So I would hate for you to get shot by the person who's been helping you this whole time just because you feel like you supposed to get help every time. So that's on you. But other than that, that's it for my rant. I got my guest. I'm about to bring my guest up. So, I know I have been putting in that my guest is a psychic, right? Because in a lot of the titles and the handles, that's what's attached to him. But come to find out, we're going to get a little bit more deep into what his gifts and his abilities really is, right? Because it can fall under a couple of things from what I'm understanding by our conversation that we had. So I'm excited because y'all know on this platform, I've had a bunch of spirits, mediums, and I've had psychics on the show already in different capacities too. So that's why I'm excited to find out in what way that he channels his power, or well, his energy and his gift. Because when it comes down to mediums, let's just do a quick recap of people that I've had on my show. We've had mediums who actually can sense other energies around you, can see people who are spirits, right? If spirits are attached to you, they can actually see the spirits, and the spirits can communicate through them or to them. I've had a medium on here who actually called themselves a light walker, if I'm not mistaken, which they will allow spirits to enter them in order for them to be able to speak to those people who are asking to speak to them. So that's another one. We've had another spiritual medium who was a guy that was on here who did things totally different. He was one of the guys that would help to cure terminal illnesses from people based on changing the way that they think. He was able to use his gift in a way to find out a lot of people's terminal illnesses that they have is not so much based on diet or just their environment. It's based on the way they think because of the things that they allow in their life. Most people have physical ailments because they don't have boundaries. Can you imagine? Right? And then he has a really high success rate of people getting cured by helping them to discover boundaries in their life. So today's conversation is going to be interesting because in this world of different gifts that people have been blanketed under one thing and then all been made to feel like their gifts is not real because of the way that their gifts have been exploited. So let's bring up my guest real quick so we can get into his world. What's going on, brother?
Hey there, am I visible? Oops, it looks like, oh yes, I
Yeah,
am.
you're very visible, sir. How you doing today?
So yes, my name is Vinaya, and I call myself a tourist on planet Earth, just visiting with a little bit of a job I put myself into, which is showing through example that life is not a problem. There are no problems. There is nothing to worry about. Life is a mystery which can be lived but not understood. But when we come here, we grow up with programming
Right,
and we forget why we are here. And we are all here with a specific reason. Either it's to learn, become more aware, or to help. And the challenge is that mom tells us different. Society tells us different. The
right,
priest tells us different. Everybody tells us different. No, you need to blah blah blah, or you're only good when you da da da. So we all are programmed to be somewhat something, but that's not us. The universe is not creating anything same.
right,
Everybody is different. Everybody has a different makeup, a different journey, a different experience to live here. Unfortunately, when we come, we forget. And again, the programming starts to change us and we forget. And my gift, so to speak, is to be able to connect with anybody who's asking energetically and be a medium or a channel. And I don't even know what word to use, but I
right,
basically like somebody, when I gave him a reading, I say psychic crystal readings, but it's crystal readings, and I connect with the person, and then the person speaks through me. Vinaya steps aside. That's my ability. I don't know anything. I mean, I really have a challenge to find out, or had a challenge to find out who I really am. How would I know anything about you? So, yeah, and then in one reading, a person goes like, "You're really in my head," and I go like, "No, your head is in my mouth. I'm just putting out, why are you here? What are your gifts? How can you live a life which is absolutely fantastic?
Right.
How can you be empowered?" And getting out of the programming through awareness. And it's different with every person. And also what really comes is that we all try to fit. We all
Mm.
try to be somebody we are not. And we don't accept ourselves because mom said, or dad said, or whoever. But if you really look at it, look around, there's nothing imperfect in existence. Nothing.
Right.
So obviously, you are also perfect because you've been created or created yourself. I'm not quite sure the way you are. You're absolutely perfect. So step
Right.
into that power gives one an absolute freedom. And suddenly, and what it's coming to what you said about accepting others and having a, seeing each other where they are at, only when I accept myself totally, I can
Right.
accept people, which is one way to create a beautiful planet with everybody being able to live together without any problems. Okay, you like meat, I don't. What's the problem? All good. Yeah, I like to go to the beach, you don't. I don't need to change you because that is your life. And
Right.
when I accept myself totally, suddenly I can accept everybody else.
That's true. That's sort of like what I was saying in the intro. So that makes a lot of sense. So let's talk a little bit about that gift and how you discovered that that you had that the gift to be able to help people pretty much understand what their purpose here is, because you do make a lot of sense. A lot of us, and this is just for people who take their artistic side and actually think that it's just something that could be considered a hobby, not understanding that that is why they were here, right?
Yeah,
Because like you said, the programming, once you become aware as a child, the programming starts,
yeah,
right? You either have parents that program you to start learning from an early age, or you got your environment that your parents allow you to grow up in to start the programming, right? So it stops you from allowing yourself, like you said earlier, your full self to develop into who you were meant to be on this particular journey that you're living, which a lot of people find themselves putting their purpose or their gift last,
yeah,
right? Bills have become first, right? All of these other things have become first in their life versus their purpose in life. Not knowing that if people lived in their purpose, that it will fulfill everything else in their life.
correct.
So, when did you discover that that was your gift? Was it something that you figured out for yourself? Did your gift start working for you first, or family members, or how did you discover that you had this ability?
Well, I was always aware that I was different, that I didn't fit. And
Mm.
when I started looking inside with the help of meditation, workshops, a master, I suddenly became aware that I can actually see what's going on behind the mask.
Mm.
And I was always a crystal freak. Somewhat crystals really turned me on since I was 14 or something in that neighborhood. I'm 71 now, so I'm doing crystals for quite a while. And suddenly it came to me, okay, before that I was living in the Himalayas and suddenly came across the book of Thoth, the tarot.
Mm.
And it totally turned me on. And I really got inspired to learn more about that. So I started to give readings with the tarot deck, which in the end didn't quite work out for me because it was too fixed. It was like the tower is this, boom. The three of thoughts is this, boom. So it was just a script which doesn't really necessarily fit for an individual in this moment, in this part and point of his life.
Okay.
And since I was really into crystals, suddenly it came to me that use a bunch of crystals to connect and to get more insight to the people I'm working with. And I just started talking. Like it's like when we have a session, you select a crystal and I take it in my hand and well, I do an exercise first where I step aside and ask spirit guides, spirit doctors, spirit helpers to have a connection with that person and be a clear channel and guide to convey what needs to be conveyed for the highest good and benefit of all. And it works. I just suddenly start talking. And as soon as I started doing this, my life changed. I saw the spark in the
Wow.
eyes of the people who like, oh yeah, I remember. Oh yeah, that hits home. And the joy of suddenly getting clear of why they're
Right.
actually, we all know that, but it's buried through what mom says or, you know, what we talked about before. And
Yeah.
it gives them the ability or the chance to actually step out of the programs, which is not necessarily like a boom situation. It might take a few minutes or years to work on oneself, look inside, become aware of the programs. And the more one becomes aware and is in the moment, looking and seeing what is actually here now. How do I actually really want to respond to this situation? The more we are in this moment, the more we become clear of who am I really? And
Right.
it was more like a download I got. Use crystals. And this is what you do. And it was amazing to be able to bring light into the darkness of people. And
Wow.
yeah, it's amazing. And yeah,
So listen, so once you okay, so I get that. So a lot of times our gifts come from self-discovery,
yes,
right? And then there's times where our gifts come from someone outside of us with their gift noticing our gift when even we don't notice it. I've noticed that too because it's like sometimes people do things and it's just so natural to them to do that because of that they don't see that as a gift because for them it's just easy to do versus them looking at like it's really not easy to do just because you make it look easy. It's just that it's easy for you versus someone else because you know I think everybody could run but everybody can't race. You know what I mean? So like that's a different thing. And I guess I can't say everybody can't run because somebody right now who is in a wheelchair is like, I can't, you know, so I guess I can't say that. But what I'm saying in the sense of people who can run, people can run, but everybody can't race. So I'm just saying it's a lot of different things out here that almost keep people you know, out of that mindset of figuring out their gift.
yeah.
because like you said, when it come down to yours, I'm sure in the beginning, because and I'm not saying that you are like any of my other guests I've had on, but all of them so far that spoke in the lane that you're in was scared of their gift at first because it was not understood, because no one around them had the gift that they could confide into and make and kind of get some reassurance that they wasn't bugging or they wasn't crazy, is the word that a lot of people don't like to be called. It's crazy, right? So to be able to say that, me myself, I'm gonna talk to you, but who I am now, I'm gonna step outside of myself and let somebody else come in and give me the information. For most people that hear that, they can't process that because it sounds like science fiction. It sounds like a movie. It sounds like, you know, uh, you know, fairy tale.
Yeah.
And then there's those who really have this gift, and then you hear about all of these different government programs that took place on a bunch of people who had a gift. Some people's gift have been used for remote viewing, right? There's a lot of people who have the gift that you have that has been used against people to be able to go, from one place and remote view in other places, right? But it's very hard for people to grasp that if they haven't allowed themselves to develop their gift. Because I think all of us have a sense of some type of spiritual gift that's buried in us because we made it,
Yes.
right?
And it's like what stops most people from actually stepping into their power is fear.
Yep.
One of the side
Yeah.
effects is suddenly when you become more inward and become more yourself and become more an individual, many times the side effect is you lose all the people you think are your friends because they don't
Wow.
understand you.
That's true.
And so, like, you're crazy, you're weird. Well, I was lucky enough that I was weird all my life, so I kind of like
Yeah.
accepted that I do not fit. And
Yeah.
the biggest tool or the biggest incentive for people to step out of their comfort zone is by just looking back at their lives. Okay, maybe I had a great marriage, or maybe I have nice kids, or maybe everything is actually sort of kind of okay. And if I really look inside, there's still something missing. It's still
Right.
really fulfilling or bringing me contentment. And once you feel that, you have two choices: drag yourself from the cradle to the grave with not being really fulfilled and content, or step out of the comfort zone and find out who you really are and what your gifts are. And
Mm.
once you accept that, seriously, I don't care if you like me. I don't care if you listen to me.
Right.
Really matter to me. That's your story. But once you become aware of that there is more, or feel the longing that there has to be more, because if it's just like this, it's like whatever. It doesn't make any sense. Then you
Mm.
have the courage to step out of your comfort zone and go into the unknown. And yeah, that's not for everybody, and not everybody is ready. And it's your choice. You want to have a fulfilling life, you want to be empowered, you want to really do what you want to do before you came here. Well, takes some work, takes courage, and takes determination. But what I also found, as soon as you step on the path and have the first bliss attack, so to speak, where you
Yeah.
really feel like, wow, you actually don't have a choice anymore. Because why would I choose misery over joy and fulfillment?
Nah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Because you know what? I noticed that too. It's like whenever people go through having a void in their life, what they do is they use all the basic things that other people have used to fill that void, which would either be a type of religion, a type of vice, a group of people, all of these things to kind of help them fill this void that they're feeling, because for them, they keep getting this small voice in their head telling them that, yeah, you could sing, but you're thinking that just so you can sing that you have to become this really huge mega superstar in order for you to really be able to hone in on the fact that you can sing, right? Because one of the biggest things that stops a lot of people from doing things when they feel like they have a similar gift to other people is that people say everybody is doing that. That little phrase right there keeps so many people in a box. It's just like this podcasting, right? You know how many people that say, yo, everybody is doing a podcast. But then, like you said earlier, but why would you think everybody is you? Like everybody is not going to have the same perspective as you, but people may share similar perspectives as you, as long as you are a person who's willing to share your perspective. And that's how you build your audience, right? But for most people, they look at it as the gifts that we're given are just jobs. It's just another job. If you can rap, if you can sing, if you can sew, if you can draw, if you are good at fixing things or good with your hands, or you can do, all these things that are artistic, people say everybody's doing that.
Right. And the trick is to do it because you love to do it.
Exactly.
No matter if it's accepted or liked or become famous or what, it doesn't really matter. I love it. This fulfills me, or that fills me. That brings me. So if I then drop this idea of, yeah, but other people are better. No, they are not better. They're different.
Yeah.
And I just do it because I love it.
Right.
And it doesn't really matter if it's accepted or not. And maybe a nice example, I was like, when I was living in India, I was like collecting stones and rock twigs and stuff, and did something with that, made little statues or carvings or what, just because I liked it, because it filled me with joy. And then I noticed one time I was working on one little composition. Somebody came, saw that, and goes, I want to buy that when it's ready. And I go like, okay, great. So I made more of these. I still have them because I made him for the reason to make money, for the reason to be successful or whatever I had in my mind at that time. That doesn't work. But when I do it just because, wow, it brings me joy, that's it.
Then it just comes, yeah.
If it doesn't come, it doesn't matter, because I already got the benefit of having an hour or 5 of absolute bliss because I like it. Because I like it. And I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it. And that suddenly gives you the freedom to be and do whatever you feel like doing, whatever is in your heart, whatever your intuition tells you. And yeah, what can I say? That
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, because I think that's another thing too. I think a lot of people's level of importance when it comes down to exploring what makes them truly happy is whether it's a monetary value attached to it as well too, right? So people put a dollar amount on their happiness. They feel like, if we just take the example of, like we're saying, like a person who likes to fix cars or like to build cars or whatever, if a mechanic or a person that likes to build cars, they just get joy out of building cars, but they don't really do it in a way where they just are a mechanic, where they just fixing everybody's car. Because see, there's a person that like to build cars, and then there's a mechanic who like to fix cars. Both of them can do the same thing. It's just that one does things differently than the other. And I think that so much people will be around certain people. And that's another thing too about the people who we share our gifts with. They'll make you feel good or bad about your gift based on a monetary value. So if your gift ain't bringing in money, then they don't see the value in your gift, because people don't understand. They think that I know it's very hard when you can watch another person do things for money and they become successful and you feel like you're better than them. So then you want to take your gift and turn around and do it for money too. And then you find yourself chasing your dream instead of attracting your dream, right? Because I feel like all of us, if we use and we stand in our gifts, that the things that we need or have or want will attract to us, that we don't have to chase it.
Yes, exactly. It's. I think there was, what's his name? Bashar said one time. It's a guy who channeled somebody that if you follow your excitement and your love, existence will take care of you. You might not become a
Mm,
millionaire, but you will have everything you need to have a life with food, shelter, what? Yeah. So it's really like changing the perspective of I'm doing something because money, fame, I want to be remembered, all these things. I want to be the best mechanic, but it doesn't really fulfill me. And it's not necessarily guaranteed that you become the best mechanic or famous.
right.
And if you can change this mindset of like, yeah, well, that all doesn't matter. I have joy. It's fulfills me. And then, and I can say that out of my experience, existence provides. Suddenly somebody comes and buys your stuff, or I get more readings than I can actually do, or whatever.
Right.
The side effect. I'm not doing that because of fame, money, whatever. I'm just doing it because that's what I'm doing. And I feel excitement and I'm joyful, and that's it. And it's
Yeah.
strange. It's like we all get programmed that you have to be famous, you have to be good, you have to be rich, you have to be successful. And then we
Yeah.
that. But actually what it also means is that I'm in the future and I'm not here.
In the present. Exactly.
I'm
Yep.
not in the present. Yeah. And that doesn't
Hmm.
work.
No.
It doesn't work. And
Mm-mm.
just being here in the moment. And okay, I love painting and I'm a painter, so I have to paint every day because I want to be famous and produce and da 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 da. The idea is that I paint now every day because I want to be famous. So I don't even allow myself to like, "Ah, I don't want to do anything today or for a month or whatever, because it doesn't come out of my heart. But when
Right.
it out of my heart, out of my enthusiasm, out of my excitement, out of the intuition or the download. Yeah, all these famous composers, Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, painters like Dali or what, poem like Hafiz and all these really amazing people. They all say, and also the scientists like what's his name, Einstein, Tesla.
Hmm.
They all go like, I don't know, it just came. It's not for me. I know a person who says she's an editor for God. She just gets downloads of poems and then writes them down and recites them. And they're amazing. They don't come out of the head. And my readings or this help I give people, it doesn't come out of my head. In fact,
Mm.
in my head, while I give a reading, before something comes out of my mouth, goes like, you can't say that. That's weird. Well, I'm not listening. I learned that. And I say it, and I see instantly in the reaction of people that's exactly right. because it comes not out of here. It comes through me. Follow our heart, our intuition, our excitement. It's not the mind. The mind does not understand that. And the mind is not made for that. But the heart is, and our soul is. And so if we kind of like just do it because that's
Yeah, man. I get that too, man, because I feel the same way about a lot of the things that I'm doing. I really do. And it's like I always say to myself, like, yo, I would love to just do what I love to do for my life. Right? Like live out my life just doing the things that I love to do. That's what brings me joy. But then it comes a part of life where you got to understand that you have responsibilities, and not everyone is agreeable with your decisions that you may have to make, because you also chose to not just be a leader in your own life but a leader in others' lives too, right? So whenever that happens, you have to put yourself, or I'm saying, speaking for myself, I had to put myself in a position where I could do what I love to do, and it wasn't depending on whether money came from it or not.
or if people
And
like it.
or people like it or not. Because of course art is subjective and everyone is not going to always like everything you do. But that's not the point of why I do it. The point of why I do it is because I love to do it.
Yeah.
And so whenever those things may have come across, I always have to look at it from that perspective, because, even with doing this platform right here, it's not like a lot of times I'll have guests on there and they be really serious about their topics and they call out people's names and everything. Look, my content sometimes gets shadow banned and gets, not suggested to new, people because of, maybe something that my guests have said, not even me.
Yeah.
So that's why I do this platform, because I love to do it, not because it's a way of me being able to become wealthy, rich, famous, and all that other stuff, because I have to fight through too much in order to get to that place of whatever you would consider fame. And most people don't make it. It's like a marathon. There's a lot of people that start off in a marathon, but when it comes down to the finish line, it's not the same amount of people, right? You know what I mean? That actually make it at the end of a marathon. And that's how I'm looking at, everything that I'm doing in myself. I feel great being creative.
Yeah.
Right. I don't feel bogged down because creativity is not an end all be all for me. Right. So I get exactly what you're saying. And I think to recognize that, though, is a gift, because when you say that you step outside of yourself and allow spirit guides to come in, I also recognize that everyone doesn't have the same spirit guide either.
Right. And it's not that the spirit guides come in. I ask the spirit guides of the person
To
to
speak.
be a clear channel and guide. And
Gotcha.
it's actually the person or the higher self or the soul. I don't even know. Putting words on these things is a little bit strange or difficult to
Right.
speak to me. But there's one thing you said really, which is also very important, is that not everybody likes what you're doing. And
Right.
I learned when I was younger and a little bit more rebellious. Well, I'm still rebellious, but uh, I suddenly realized that no matter how I dress,
Mm-hmm.
get in a room with, say, 10 people. 4 people love it, 4 people hate it, and 2 people don't give a shit. And it doesn't matter how I dress. So I figured
Right.
I might as well dress the way I like to be dressed. Yeah. And
Right.
so it's like there's 7 billion people on the planet. It's impossible to be loved by everybody or liked by everybody. It's almost impossible to be liked in a group of 100 people by everybody.
True.
It's like, so why try? Why try the impossible? It doesn't matter. And we all have a different view. Like if I'm not having a suit, then I'm a bum. Yeah, well, that's right for this person, but for another person, it doesn't really matter. So
Right.
really being the way you are and not looking outside for what's it called, accept
Validation or
valid,
acceptance.
validation. That's the one I was looking for. Um, is very important, I think, because if I validate myself, I'm great.
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
existence
Yeah.
doesn't create anything imperfect, so I got to be perfect too. Again, my mother thinks different. No worries about that. But who is the bigger authority, my mother or existence?
Yeah, it's true. That's true. And then sometimes people project their fears onto other people, right? Because of stuff that they are fearful of doing. It's not that they can't do, they just have a fear of it.
Yeah,
You know, it's strange growing up in where you would be considered a person that grew up in a family where we are made to feel strange and be like the only one, when it's not that. It's just that we're the only ones that didn't suppress our gift,
right.
because a lot of people mentally depending on, especially when it comes down to generations, it's just like parents. It's like so many of our parents had gifts, but they didn't live in their gifts, right? Because they decided to do other things. So when you as a child were born and you were born with all these gifts, they tried to make you suppress your gifts as well too, by telling you what they consider to be real life. Because it comes a point in time where bills have become everyone's God. And I know for some reason they like to put money as a root of all evil. And I get the reason why people say that. But what I'm learning is that money is not basically the root of all evil more than bills are. Because so many people most of us pay for things that we really shouldn't be. Like we're paying for water because of someone, the way that the water system is. It's like, yo, we pay for water. We pay, all of these different things that we pay for. We pay for housing. And I said this on my show a couple of weeks ago, and I said, for all of us, those that are out here having to buy land and purchase land, and who sold the first piece of land? Like, where did the person come from that sold the land in the first place? How is it a bunch of people owning something that they didn't create? And then yet they're using it to sell to you. Like, how could that be? And then when you think about, segregation, separation, slavery, and all these different things that took place, there are so many people right now that are paying rent on land that they technically own that they don't even know.
Yeah, and it's also very funny that uh, what makes you think that you own this piece of land, like governments, right? It's not your land. It's part of planet Earth. I'm a human being. I live here. I can live wherever I want. And this is like one thing which really makes me wonder if there's even a way for us to make it. It's like this slavery, this in the box of I am this, I am that, and I have to obey all these rules.
Yeah.
For me, there's only one rule: don't enforce something on other people. Be yourself and let everybody else be themselves. And originally, we have freedom. Like a few hundred years ago, I didn't need to buy land. I just put my house down and finish story. I didn't need to pay taxes. Something went wrong
A
uh,
lot.
in the recent past. And for some reason, most of us just obey
Yeah.
and let other people tell them what is right or wrong.
Exactly.
Plants are made illegal. Well, what are you talking about illegal? They're growing here.
Yeah.
What is this? It's, I see, that's one thing where I'm kind of like flabbergasted most of my life. I don't understand why people think like this.
Well, I think it's based on what you said. Programming.
It's
Programming has a lot to do with the way people think when it comes down.
But even then,
to
if I really look inside and like, this is ridiculous. No, that's
yeah,
doesn't. It's like
it
I'm
don't
not.
make sense. Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
It's like,
But
what are you talking about?
but you
But
got to be willing to look in.
yeah, one has to be willing to look at, and one has to be willing or have the courage to say, okay, I'm done with this. I'm living my life according to myself and not
Yeah,
according to the government, the religion, the
other
society,
people.
whatever. And yes, then I am somewhat in this time frame an outsider. And in my experience, being an outsider is way more beneficial. I have a way more wow life than most of the people on the planet. And
Mm,
it's just because I don't conform, and I
yeah,
follow the rules. Okay, sometimes I have to follow some rules because, I don't want to get into jail and stuff. But
yeah,
even then, it's like I always find places where I can be myself and do whatever I want to do and not following orders. So when there's an order coming like you all have to wear a mask, I didn't.
right.
And it was actually possible. And then like taking on this like, yeah, but you need to protect other people. Really? No, I'm healthy.
Yeah,
I don't need finished story. And this goes in all aspects of life. Yeah, I have to. I need to be like this or that. That doesn't come from me. That comes from the outside.
right.
And it doesn't work. That's why this whole, in my book, this whole challenging times we are in is created because it doesn't work for us. But we don't want to be different because that's
Yeah,
scary, because I'm not
yeah.
loved. But there is a trick also. I don't need your love as long as I love myself.
That's it. That's the hardest part, but the most simplest part,
Yeah,
right? Like you don't have to worry about if another person loves you or not more than if you love yourself.
yeah.
The point is though, we've been conditioned, programmed, trained to not love ourselves. It comes with a stigma. It comes with words like selfish, words like narcissistic,
Yeah.
words like all of these different terms that comes with that thought process whenever you do that. Because in real life, if you kind of think about it, that is the answer to a lot of things. Based what you just said, that's the answer. But
And
very hard for people to believe it.
yes, but if you understand that if I have an empty cup, there's nothing I can give you. If I don't have
Right.
inside, how can I give love to somebody else? I don't even know what that means. I
No.
have a society idea or a religious idea or whatever kind of idea my mother put into me. Well, my
Right.
mother wasn't that bad, but you know what I mean. But the
Yeah, I know what
parents,
you mean.
you know,
Parents. Yeah.
if I don't have love in myself, for myself, how can I love anybody else? If I don't have,
Right.
how can I give? So I come first. And that's not egoistic, that's intelligent. Because when I'm full, then as a
Yeah, you
side,
could give.
I
Yeah.
give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as a man, you're not expected. You gotta give even when your cup is not full. So you gotta put yourself in a perspective where whatever you have in your cup, it has to go out, right? Because you don't always get a chance to fill your cup because of what is expected of you. That's why I said earlier that a lot of times people don't get into their purpose because if it's not tied to success in a dollar amount. If it doesn't equate to a certain dollar amount, your gifts or your talents is only considered a hobby to most people. And that's what I think that's where a lot of things go wrong, is that we align ourselves with people based on our preferences versus our standards in life, right? Because in your standard, we have to be able to align ourselves with people who don't necessarily need to see our vision because it's not for them, but are understanding of a vision of their own and can see where they could be an asset. Because I think about this all the time, there are a lot of people who have family and very huge families at that, but they don't get along.
Mhm.
So just because you're related to somebody, by default, you're expected to get along with them. And when that doesn't happen, it strains all your other relationships out there because it makes it seem like nobody is going to really care for you the way that you feel like can be outside of you, because the people that are supposed to do it don't do it. That's why whenever you said it earlier about how, our moms affect a lot of our programming in life,
Yeah.
um, that's part of it. Because most people have been dealing with abandonment issues as part of their childhood trauma, and they've been taking that into adulthood. And then that stops people from going to the next level. You know how many
Exactly.
people had an opportunity on the table, but because of the relationship they was in and the way that they felt, they didn't go? Or they didn't do it, or they didn't take it because they was concerned about the way this other person felt when it's not their vision, it's not their goal, it's not their purpose, right? And it's sad that we live in a society where everything else should be more important than your purpose.
And it's making the society shitty.
Exactly.
Say it in correct words. It's like horrible. It's disgusting. And you said something about trauma, which is one very important step for most of people to look and release their traumas. Fortunately, I did not have huge traumas. Okay, I had accidents, which is a trauma, and da 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 da, but not these huge, intense childhood traumas and experiences where you've been put down or abandoned, all of this. So, what is also very important for many people is to release these traumas because they are energetically in the cells and in the nervous system.
Yeah.
Unconsciously just work out of that.
Mm.
Unless we actually release it physically, and there's different ways of doing that, we basically don't really have a chance to step into our power because that is running the show in the background
True.
unconsciously. So, as a tip for many of you who may or may not be aware of traumas, have a look see. Have you been sexually abused? Have you been abandoned? Have you been beaten? Whatever the reason is. And if you come to the conclusion that yes, well, then the next step would be releasing that. And like I said, there are
Yeah.
ways of doing that. We don't necessarily need to get into that. And then I suddenly can become more aware. And besides, it's really once I did this, or if I don't really have extreme traumas, the only trick really is to be here and now. And
Right.
there's really, really easy exercise, which works like a charm, takes about 5 seconds, and I'm here. So next time when I become aware that even though I'm right now sitting here on the chair talking to you,
Right.
or I'm walking on the beach, in my mind, I'm suddenly in Japan, or I'm thinking about the future, or what I did wrong in the past, or blah, blah, blah. I'm in my mind. I'm,
Right. And not in the present. Yeah.
so when I become aware of that, the only thing I need to do is Stop and become conscious of my breath, how it goes in and out. That's it. 2, 3 breath, I'm out of my mind. 1 breath, I'm out of my mind because I can't be in 2 places at the same time.
Same time. That makes sense. Yep.
And
No,
then
you're right about that.
a warning, like I'm breathing, and then my mind goes, oh yeah, I got it. Whoops, I'm back in my mind. But I'm already more in an awareness state. So when I see that suddenly I'm back in my mind, I come back to the breathing. And the more often I remember that, the more easier it is to just stop. Well, it's not necessarily stopping the walking, but stop being just totally focused, have the awareness. I'm in Japan right now, even though I'm in Mexico at the beach. Breathe.
Right.
And I'm present.
Concentrate on the breath. And you're right, because I think that's the number one, not the number one, but I think that is a way for a beginner meditation. Like
Yeah.
for beginning meditation, for people who say, well, I don't know how to clear my mind. Every time I get into a place, all these thoughts come and these races come, and I say, well, thoughts racing. And I was always led to that type of understanding, is that if it's something I can concentrate on, it doesn't require me to have to actually repeat what I'm looking at in my head, like reading, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just come natural to see something and read it. But to concentrate on your breath, that's the focus, because you can't you don't read your breath. You're not understanding your breath. You're just focusing on what your body is normally doing or naturally doing. So you hit the nail on the head with that one. That is the ultimate way of putting ourselves in a state of meditation when it's time for us to meditate. And we can't really figure out a way to control our minds to make it be that blank canvas that everybody says you're supposed to do.
And on top of that, we cannot, at least in my experience, somebody might have found a way. I haven't found that yet, and I'm not actually looking anymore, because I found out that it is impossible to shut my mind up. It is impossible to control my mind. Because who's doing that? Who's telling me, shut up, or be quiet, or be silent? It's the mind.
It's your mind. You're telling yourself.
You're telling
So it's hard. Yeah.
telling the mind to shut the fuck up. It doesn't work. But the breathing is like just like a key. It's not
Focus.
I am shutting up the mind. It's suddenly quiet.
Yeah. You're giving it something to focus on
I'm focused
other
on
than your thoughts.
I'm aware of the breath. It's not really like
Gotcha.
it goes in my book. It's more like an awareness.
Awareness, right.
Because
That's what it is.
I'm focusing on that. No, I'm
That's
just
right.
aware of that.
That's so.
Cool. And you can do this anywhere. Riding the bus, washing the dishes, being in the toilet, wherever. As soon as you remember, just step into the breath. And you're present. Wow. It's amazing.
Yeah, out of your head. That makes sense. Well, I really I want to know. So listen, let's do this. Before we get out of here, I think it's only right for people to know more about your services, right? And how they could go about booking you for sessions and things like that. Because I think what was most important today, which I like to have with all my guests, is conversation. I don't necessarily want to drill people and have this questionnaire set up for people, because sometimes I feel like whenever I could just have to attack a topic, like say, like for example, the fact of you being a spiritual medium, psychic, or whichever one fits you and the particular thing that you're doing, it's a whole bunch of questions that come up for people who are that. Like, well, how do you know? What makes it real? How it's a whole bunch of stuff that just kind of, to me, is not the way I want to go about it. So I'm hoping that what people get from this conversation that me and you had today is that you are a very logical person. You speak from a place of understanding people, and not just in a place of, here y'all, here's my gifts, come book me to come listen to me, and not you explaining different things about life and your philosophy on how you see things. So that was great that you were able to have that type of conversation tonight and not just be so focused, or us not to be able to, just be so focused on what your gifts are, but more so the person behind the gifts. Because I
Yeah.
think that's just as important when it comes down to what you're doing. Because tarot readers, mediums, psychics, all of these different things all come with some type of sense of information that is given to a person that they're asking confirmation about. Very seldom do people go to people for stuff they don't know unless they want they just want to know
Yeah.
if something is right or wrong. Other than that, very few people come without a blank. I don't know, because then a person could tell them anything, right? Most we know what we can and we can't do, and just sometimes we don't know until we do it. But I think that was amazing that you was able to have that part of you displayed tonight. So let's do this. Please let the people know the services that you do provide and how they can reach out to you to actually, attain some of them services.
Okay. So connecting with me on my website, which is called psychiccrystalreadings.com. And my services are readings where I follow the voice of yourself to let you know what your gifts are, how you get there, what's the next step, how to be empowered, how to really live the life you want to live. And the other one is coaching, where we get together like a minimum of 4 weeks, twice a week, where things come up, what is most helpful, most beneficial for you to further your journey and to be more clear
Right.
and more empowered. And that's with readings and meditations and awareness exercises. It really depends on the person. It's always different. And on top of that, with my partner, we do medicine journeys where one actually can experience this space of beingness, which is wow. And all of that information you can find on my website, again, psychiccrystalreadings.com. And I'm more than happy to be of assistance and help you. And to say on top of that, I'm not helping you actually. I just give you awareness.
Right. So you can
You
help yourself.
work. You have to help yourself. You have to do
Yeah.
the meditation, the exercise, the awareness, whatever comes up.
Definitely. So look, everybody that watched tonight or that's watching right now, people that jumped off and on, or people that's going to watch the playback, I really want y'all to take some time to kind of consider what your gift and your purpose is, especially if you already know. I think that's amazing. And I also think that whatever your gift and talent is, if it's something that could be used by other people, just don't give it away. Right? Don't just put yourself in a position where you're waiting on somebody else to give you an opportunity. Create your own when it comes down to your gift and talents. If you're an actor, if you're a singer, if you're a seamstress, if you're a clothing designer, whatever it is, don't just go chase opportunity for somebody to validate you. Put yourself in position, pull your phone out, get in front of your camera, pull your sewing machine out, or get your designs together. Whatever it is that you feel like it is that is in you to do, do it without waiting for somebody else to validate you, because you just never know. In you living in your purpose, you can find that place of freedom, you can find that place of relief, and you can also find that outlet for yourself. For those people that are dealing with so many different stresses in their life, they just can't seem to find a way to give themselves those breaks that they need. A lot of times your mental break ain't gonna come from you not thinking. It's gonna come from you being in your purpose. Because in your purpose, then you're not worried about everything that's outside of you. If that makes sense, it's almost like what
Yeah.
Vinaya said. Like, yo, you concentrate on your breath. It'll help you to concentrate on you being yourself more in the present. So if you concentrate on your gift, that'll also bring you more in the present versus the future. If your bills got to be paid or not paid or whatever, or it won't take you in the past about how you didn't have it the day before and all this other stuff. So I
Yeah,
just hope that all of you. Oh, you want to say something else? Go ahead.
yeah. Quickly about the paying the bills. I did have times in my life where I needed to get money to pay the bills. So I was doing like the weirdest jobs just to make money, to to survive, right?
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
that's not what I'm here for. I knew that is not my story. And it was a necessity in times. And so like having then this understanding that okay, I'm not doing this because this is what I'm doing. This is I do this because I need some money. But this is
yeah.
not
You investing. Yes, you're invested. I think that's the mindset, right? Like, if you put yourself in a position where you're not waiting for somebody to give you an opportunity, then you can do the things that you love to do. So, for example, if you do have to get a job or two in order for you to do the things that you love to do, then do that, right?
yeah,
Don't just do the things you love to do and then just hoping on a wing and a prayer that somebody validates you in order to give you an opportunity. It's like, no, like do the things that you can do for you while maintaining. Like, yo, if you have a job, then you should be able to do what you love without money being a focus, right?
well,
Because it
it's
takes money to do some things too,
yeah.
So
And having
I
money
guess,
on top, even if it's just a dishwasher in Greece, because I was stuck in Greece, it gave me
yeah,
opportunity to do what I really wanted to do in
it
this
is.
traveling. But yeah, it's sometimes it's on this planet, it's a necessity in this society, in this world, in this time. It's sometimes a necessity to do something to make money. And in
Yeah,
thinking that I'm just doing that so I have something to eat and my body is fine, that's great. No worries. I can be a
right.
dishwasher for a month or two, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm just doing that to be able to do what I really want to
Well,
do.
love to do.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's the message that we want to leave people with today, right? Because that's the thing, you want to be able to live in your purpose, live in a space where you can be in your gifts. And you don't have the worries of letting your gift be the means of how you survive.
Right.
Because sometimes your gift will get you to the place where you need to be, but when you're in survival mode, it's very hard for you to see, you know what I'm saying, exactly your steps. So I want to thank you again, brother, for coming on this platform, sharing your insight with everyone, and being willing to be open and free, and not being concerned about the stigma that comes with your line of lifestyle, which is crazy or either not real or whatever negative connotation that comes with your gift. So thank you again for coming on the platform and chopping it up with the people. I also want to say thank you to all of you guys that watched tonight. I want to say thank you to all the people that will watch the playbacks. And I also want to say thank you to all of my audio listeners and my people that's going to download the audio version of this show. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure y'all check the brother out, Vinaya. He told y'all the name of his website, which is psychiccrystalreadings.com. Right? Did I say that right? Psychiccrystalreadings.com.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all go check out the website, check out all the things that he has to offer. If you feel in need of a service, please make sure you contact him and let him know that Rob One sent you. And that way he know that you listen to the podcast, and that way he knows that you know a little bit more about him outside of just what he does. So make sure that you guys do that. And yeah, man, just, and like I say each and every week, y'all, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So until next week, I want to say to all of y'all out there, peace.